the small businesses, local businesses, that is how our communities thrive.
Especially in advertising and with print marketing and all the the challenges from the pandemic over this past year.
Especially today in age, business seems like it could be so transactional or price driven.
Hey, welcome back to Small Business Never Sleeps. My name is John Slusser, and this is Nathan Maude, and we're the co-founders of the NES Small Business Association and your host of Small Business Never Sleeps.
Thank you for tuning in. Today's episode 2, and we couldn't be more excited to have you guys here. Small Business Never Sleeps is geared specifically toward the small business owner as well as who represents the small business industry.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about print marketing and how print marketing can help a small business thrive. Joining us today is Michael Nance, National Sales Executive with Fisher Printing.
I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, so am I. Thanks so much for having me, Nathan and John. Really excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, hey, let's dive into getting to know Michael a little bit better, getting to know Fisher Printing a little bit better, and what they're able to do in terms of print marketing for the small business owner. So, Michael, thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to learn more about Fisher Printing and your printing capabilities and how these resources are positioned to help small businesses thrive. But before we dive in, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about who Michael is and what you do over at Fisher Printing.
Yeah, well, I've been in the advertising industry for about 7 years now. I am a national sales executive at Fisher Printing. I work with national and local businesses to identify consumer trends, perfect their print messaging, target those consumers, and drive them to their locations and online via print tactics. So direct mail marketing, we also do banner ads, in-store ads, and so on.
How did you get into print marketing in the first place?
So my father has been in the ad and marketing industry for many years, something I grew up around and was very fascinated by it, and went to college for marketing. During that time, I worked in insurance for a number of years, but always had that desire to get in a similar industry as my father, just because it's a passion that I had. And I always told myself if I wasn't going to own my own business, I always wanted to help other businesses grow and thrive. So the best way for me to do that was to take the passion that I saw that my father had and the things I learned over the years, and go to a company that I saw the same characteristics, the passion to help businesses grow. And so that's how I ended up at Fisher Printing. I found this company through some mutual connections, and met with the team over at Fisher Printing. Their family-owned business has been around for 88 years, helping businesses grow locally. But over the years, they have grown to this national company that still helps the local businesses, but also partners with national businesses as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, Michael. I really appreciate the candor and the honesty, and how we're all here to help that small business owner grow and succeed. Especially today in age, business seems like it could be so transactional or price driven, but in the small business market, we're seeing the ability to build those relationships and work with each other is what makes the small business so fun. To continue those relationships. So thanks for sharing. So over the last year, we all know it's been a big challenge no matter what industry you are in. What's kind of the biggest surprise you've seen over the last month last couple months within the print marketing industry?
Well, I'll go back a little further than a couple months. I mean, for us, it would be the pandemic. I think that affected all businesses, really. And when it did, a lot of businesses had to shut down. And then those businesses that were able to stay open, they had to completely change their marketing strategy. So a lot of these consumers that were afraid to go into the store were now going online to make their purchases. Well, a lot of our businesses with those clients that we're trying to get people in their stores. So a lot of the print work was being canceled. So then that therefore impacted our businesses. But as I mentioned earlier, our objective is to constantly help businesses grow and find ways through challenging situations. So we got together with our clients, identified new messaging that had to go out, and new print tactics. So although we weren't necessarily needing to help drive customers into the store, we still had to inform the clients that these businesses are there still to help you. And, there's a new way of doing business with us. You can go online, pick up in store, whatever that may be. And we sent that message out through direct mail and other print tactics as well.
Gotcha. So it sounds like, especially in advertising and with print marketing and all the, the challenges from the pandemic over this past year, sounds like it's just been constant progression, right? Or trying to re-strategize what a company has been doing for maybe the past 20 years. Who knows how often a company changes their current strategy. So it really puts, the business owner in a position where they have to, maybe learn new things. And I know that, as professionals, we've all been in a position where we've had to challenge ourselves and learn some new things. So why don't we pause right there? And what are some of the things that, over the past year, during the pandemic that has caused you to learn and to grow?
I would say, well, the one thing, and I don't know if it necessarily has to do with the pandemic, but the one thing that's helped myself grow is to constantly come to work and find a new way to challenge myself. I feel like in many cases, day in and day out, you get stuck in that grind, and you get comfortable, and you don't do things that are necessarily challenging, maybe because you're afraid of failure. But over the years, I have trained myself to constantly find something that's going to challenge not only myself, but the company that I work for. And when you do that, you force yourself to learn new things that therefore helps you to improve yourself and then the company and then everybody around you. So not just, like I said, not just your company, but also that impacts your families and everybody else positively.
Yeah, I can absolutely appreciate that. I think we've all found ourselves in that position, both personally and professionally, especially in the past, 12 months. And I think as we move forward, we're going to kind of continue to stay in that zone where we have to grow and learn new things and really challenge ourselves if we want to be successful and to truly help that small business owner. Well, hey, Michael, let's kind of go down the path that, it's 2021. A lot of companies are trying to re-strategize their marketing. A lot of companies are trying to figure out, like, how do we reach our audience? And being that it's 2021, some would say that print marketing is dead, right? Like, we're like, hey, get out of the Stone Age, get out of the print marketing age. Everything should be digital now. Like, what would you say to that?
Well, I would say that's not the first time I've heard somebody say that to me. Every company needs to have a digital strategy. I will not tell them that they shouldn't because it's very, very important, but I will tell them it's only one component of the media mix. There's multiple components of that that influence your consumers to act. Every consumer handles media in a specific way. I believe it's Prosper Analytics that shows 35% share of influence is digital.
Wow.
But when you look at print has a 30% share of influence. So you need to combine those together as part of your media mix to have an overall 65% share of influence. So you can drive those consumers online, in stores, whatever that may be. Because if you're doing just one or the other, you're either reaching 35% of the market or 30%. But together, they're a lot stronger.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of pie you're missing out on if you don't use that 30% from the print marketing side.
It definitely is.
So maybe it's like your left and right arm. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess from my view, it sounds like print marketing is alive and well.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, Michael. Those are some interesting statistics that I definitely didn't know about. And it's a very good way for small businesses small businesses to stay connected with their client base as well as their prospective clients. So Michael, with this day and age, John said it being 2021, print marketing being dead, so many marketing things are changing within the industry, and TikTok and Instagram, and we all know those out there. So how do you continue to learn in order to stay on top of the ever-changing market within the print marketing industry?
Yeah, so I mean, the best way to do that for me is to constantly stay up to date on my clients' industries. I'm constantly reading articles, new news alerts to see how the industry is fluctuating. That way I can go to my client with new ideas on how to approach the consumer. I mean, consumer trends are constantly changing. We need to know how to interact with today's consumer, both from a digital standpoint, but also from a print standpoint, as well as TV. I mean, TV is changing too, and there's new ways to reach those individuals that they're watching TV, but then they're also switching over to streaming devices. So staying on top of that and being able to provide our clients with advice on how to reach those consumers, that's something I'm reading on day in and day out and staying on top of.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, small business is constantly evolving. It sounds like you're evolving right alongside small business with technology and capabilities and client offerings. And we talked earlier, I think in episode 1, where small business isn't always smooth rolling, and there's some challenges and maybe even some failures that small businesses will find themselves in, and it puts them in a position where they have to really grow and learn and get through some of those challenges. So let me just pass that same question kind of on to you. What's been the biggest failure that you've dealt with in print marketing, and how have you overcame that situation?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a failure. So this spring, or last spring actually, we were faced with a very challenging situation when the pandemic hit. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of businesses are realizing that they need a digital presence because just print wasn't going to cut it. They needed to drive consumers online to fill the gap since people couldn't go in stores anymore. At the time, Fisher Printing didn't offer a full digital strategy, but through resources through ISBA and the web guys, and then also another partnership with a digital company, Comment Ads, through those resources, we're able to offer that to our clients and give them the full print and digital strategy that they need.
All right, so print marketing's everywhere you look, Michael. I mean, you drive down the road seeing billboards. So I'm just curious, what are some of the capabilities Fisher Printing has in their wheelhouse?
Yeah, so a lot of what we do are inserts. We print direct mail postcards, do solo saturation, new neighbor postcards. We do a lot of in-store signage. Another thing with the pandemic, where of course the floor decals stay 6 feet away. We do all of those. Window banners, end cap signage, you name it, we can do it. Door hangers. So really, any print needs that the small business or national clients need, we're there to help with.
That sounds great. So obviously you're joining us today on our Small Business Never Sleeps podcast. Small business is a passion of yours. I've picked that up from you, and I know that you serve the small business owner. You represent the small business space. But what is it about small business that you love so much? Why are you so passionate about small business?
Well, I come from a family of business owners, people that have started businesses themselves, and it's been just amazing watching those grow over the year. So I wanted to continue being part of that. The small businesses, local businesses, that is how our communities thrive. So to be part of that, help them grow and help them find solutions to continue that growth, it's just something I really enjoy doing.
That's great.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all coming from that small business family background,
Yep.
So that's kind of cool. So with your small business background and our small business background, what's some of the reasons you decided to partner up with the Indiana Small Business Association?
Well, ISBA offers a ton of great resources, not just to the local communities, but also to their partners too. So, there's various resources that my company will need that you offer, and so on and so forth. So, I'm glad to be there to offer any resources to ISBA, but then also able to use ISBA to connect with local businesses to help them as well.
Hey, Michael, thank you so much for sharing about ISBA and really what made you join ISBA. But how do you think ISBA is set up to be able to serve your client?
So the way set up now, what I do is I offer mainly print services to my clients. But when I'm having conversations with my clients, there's other resources outside of that they will need that I'm not particularly expert in. That may be finance, that may be an attorney, or whatever that may be. And ISBA provides all the resources that my client would need if they're opening in a new location, or if there's other objectives that they're aiming to reach. There's just various resources within ISBA that I could present to them that could help them with that.
I absolutely agree with that, Michael. In fact, I think Nathan and I talked about this earlier. When we started ISBA and got everything going, it was because he only did health insurance and HR and payroll, and I only did property and casualty insurance. We can only support the small business owner in one specific way. And we thought, how can we be more to the small business owner? How can we advocate for the small business owner? We thought, well, if we can just pull together a bunch of resources, some experts that serve their industry, then that truly advocates and supports that small business owner. It sounds like you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, it's definitely perfect for that, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Michael, there's a lot of small business owners listening today, as well as small business resources. Do you mind sharing with them where they can find you online, our listeners can connect with you?
Yeah, the best place to reach me would be through my LinkedIn page. That's Michael Nance. Or we have Fisher Printing, a LinkedIn page as well. You can also go to fisherprinting.net. Those would be the three best ways to reach us.
Yeah, and let me add one more. You can check out www.indianasba.com. We have a partners page where you can find Michael and you can get all of his contact information from there.
That's awesome.
That's great. Well, thank you, Michael, so much for joining us today. We're at our time here, and we appreciate you joining us today on the Small Business Never Sleeps podcast. And I've certainly enjoyed getting to know you better and to gathering just a clear understanding of print marketing and who you guys serve and who Fisher Printing is and how you're just so focused on that small business owner. And I can definitely get the sense that it helps the small business owner thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. We really appreciate you here speaking today and all the detail you provided about yourself and Fisher Printing, as well as the resources you provide to that small business owner here in the great state of Indiana. So thank you again for joining us. And any last words, Michael?
No, I just want to thank you so much for having me. If there's anything anybody needs as far as any print needs, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can go to fisherprinting.net. But Nathan and John, thanks so much for having me.
Awesome, Michael. Thank you very much. This, again, is the Small Business Never Sleeps podcast. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and all of your other favorite podcast platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Google, and Stitcher.
Yeah, and next time, Nathan and I will be spending some time talking about our upcoming events on April 15th and also the Small Business Never Sleeps Foundation, which is a foundation that is specifically geared toward offering resources to the small business owner. But guys, don't forget, keep on grinding because small business never sleeps.